in it, in your business in order to create sustainability and also have innovation? Are you doing that? And then you have the part of innovation, how that you're going to really think outside the box. You're going to make pivots, small pivots, some changes to create a sustainable business, to create, I would say, have creativity. So you're gonna do that. So, all right, next slide. So shift gearbox in your business. In the shift gearbox, you're going to describe your obstacle and your roadblocks in that particular area. So in innovation, you're going to describe what your roadblock is. And then you're going to try to look at what gears are going to gain you leverage. You know, what am I going to change, or what gear, the gearbox, I guess, worksheet, you're going to look at that and which gears are going to be able to help you move on or move up and give yourself leverage. So the gears really work, and you know how it works in the cogs of a clock. It helps you move up. So you're going to make that move just a little bit so that you can create some innovation in there. So you're going to go into your groups and you're going to talk about this for at least 4 minutes. Is that all right, guys? Yeah.
Yeah, about four or 5 minutes each. I think
4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, we can probably take 5 minutes each.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to open up the rooms. So jump in. Edna, you're going to be in my room, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Whoops. So Alan, we'll start with you on the next one. Sorry.
Okay, sure.
In the
No,
main room
that's
now.
fine. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So
You can
sorry,
just
not a whole
follow.
lot of warning, but yeah, I didn't want to get into a situation like last week where we took too much time in the first meeting. All right, so let's go back to, right, okay, so I think I have this slide.
Yeah.
So I'll explain what we're doing here. This is a new feature of the workshop that we added. We've done about a dozen workshops before this new series, and we added several pieces to the new one. And this is one piece that we added, which is when we started the workshop, there was tremendous pressure for everyone to change because of the pandemic. So, you know, a lot of people were sort of forced to change. Now we're in a situation where you're not really forced to change, but you want to change in order to grow your business. But what is the way you're going to change? And we're trying to give you some suggestions here of finding themes where you might find some ways that you haven't thought of already that you can create new opportunity for your business. And we're going to each of us talk about one of those themes that we have some special interest and knowledge in. We're going to talk about sustainability, which can mean sustainable processes, sustainable planet Earth, and your sustainable business. Issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion for your customers, your staffing, the way you approach the culture of your business, and innovation, which and business change and development is in a way all built around innovation. But innovation, it's sort of a big word and a very cloudy word. What does it mean to you, and how can you innovate? So we're each going to take one of these topics. Stefan's going to start with sustainability. Going to speak for about 7 minutes on it and kind of give you a fire hose treatment about it. And then we're going to send you back into work a little individually with one of these themes and brainstorm yourself about a bunch of ideas of how you can use these principles to think differently about your business. All right, I think I'm turning it over to you, Stefan. Go.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tom. I'm trying to change the slide. There we go. Whoops, I went too far. Okay, sustainability is up first. And as Tom said, this is all about innovation, and we broke it into 3. The first one is sustainability. And step 1 is what do you mean by sustainability? We can spend days, weeks, hours, months on this topic, debating how it impacts business and all that fun stuff. And all of that doesn't really matter. What matters is what your customer thinks, your target audience. What do they think sustainability means? That's what I want you to focus on here. And defining what the customer thinks is going to be crucial. That's step one. And then what I would want you to do is compare that to what your competition's already doing. So in other words, if your competition is already doing something, you need to at least match that, or most likely excel from that. And we'll speak more about that in a moment. And then make sure, but I want you to be a leader in it. And by being a leader, you would have to excel in it or do more than what the competition is doing. So that's step one. Step two, and there's only 2 steps in this whole thing. So the step 2 is essentially creating a product or service around sustainability. We're going to go into a lot of that. And today it's a lot more than screwing in an energy efficient light bulb. That's like 30, 40 years ago. Today, it's a lot more than that. And what I'm going to go through now is kind of like drinking from a fire hose. I'm going to throw so much stuff at you in a fairly rapid format that hopefully you'll glean 1 or 2 ideas for you in that. But again, I'm going to do this in less than, I don't know, less than 10 minutes anyways. And we're creating an entire program on this, and it's called the Climate Opportunities Workshop. And in that, it's going to be coming out in mid-February. There's a small group of us that's what we're focusing on. We're creating opportunities for small businesses on how they can tap into this for themselves. And the first thing is going to be, these are all opportunities. So the first one is a softball. I'm lobbing an easy one at you. A lot of you, they're already doing this, or it may not even be relevant, but reducing your utilities and energy consumption. Reducing your energy and utilities consumption. And the next one sounds easy, but it's actually might be a little more complicated to implement. The second one is reducing or keeping your prices flat. Now that sounds easy. Don't raise your prices, but with inflation happening and supply chain issues, blah, 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 it may be way harder to do than you think. But imagine if you can put your prices, or say, hey, the entire world is increasing their prices, not at our company. We're keeping them flat, or we're reducing, whatever it is. But then using that and marketing the bejesus out of it. The next one is opportunities for weather resilient products or services. So there are a bunch of industries. There are many. I'm going to just go through 4 of them, but in each of them, those industries, there's many options. So insurance, shipping, coastal communities, farming. Let's say in farming, I'm not going to go into all of them, but there are so many things within farming alone that you can integrate into your business. So let's say you have nothing to do with farming, you can add farming or a component of farming to what you do, for example. And then another opportunity is you can expand into alternative energy heating systems. So solar, this is more Charlie's expertise, but solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, you can integrate in any of those alternative energy resources into your business, or you can add a division to your company to do that. And then you promote yourself as an eco-friendly company by doing that. So you would do that in your marketing. So you would say, you wouldn't do it just because you're a nice person. You would do it because, you know what, this makes a lot of business sense to do this. But I would want you to make sure you're not, you avoid, or you're not greenwashing. And greenwashing, if you're not familiar with the concept, It's really simple, and that's basically saying you're greener than you really are. And there are companies that have really gotten bit in the ass by greenwashing, and the amount of resources to clean up that mistake is far greater than the amount of money that they put into, hey, we're really green about blah, 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 and they're not. So some recent examples in the last year or two are from companies we all know that have been busted for greenwashing, and it's created way more money. It's been way more expensive for them to clean it up, are companies like Hefty, IKEA, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Shell Oil. There are many, many examples of companies that have gone out there and greenwashed. I want to make sure you guys are not doing that. And then the last opportunity would be a leader. Be a leader in sustainability in your industry. So I'm making it up. There's so many ways to do it, but become a consultant, for example, is an easy one. Consulting services, you can add that to what you're doing. And for example, you can address multinational laws addressing climate change. You could be a consultant and an expert on how to deal with that in your company or your industry, rather. And then what if, I'm a little on my soapbox here. What if your company has nothing to do with the environment or social? Great. Then you can actually partner with somebody who does do that. And that's all they do, for example. About a year ago, I worked with a guy that was a consultant on LinkedIn, and his business model was helping other companies use LinkedIn to get more companies to work with them. Well, he was like, I have nothing to do with the environment. What do I do? And so a few minutes of back and forth, he saw for himself that his pet peeve in the environment is polluted waters. So he partnered with an ocean clean or a beach cleanup company that's all they did. And then it created a new silo for him, a new marketing opportunity for him to work with people that worked with this organization and help them on LinkedIn. So he created this whole new market segment for himself and expertise. And then the next thing is how to leverage your with your stakeholders. How do you leverage sustainability with your stakeholders? Now, stakeholders, in case so we're all on the same page on this one. Stakeholders, anybody that has a stake in the success of your company. It could be customers, it could be investors, it could be your community, it could be your employees, any investors, shareholders would be part of investors. That's a stakeholder. So it encompasses all of that. So making sure that what you do really makes sense for your stakeholders, and they get really excited about what you're doing around sustainability on that. Make sure you're ahead of the curve with your competition. So if your competition is doing X, you do X plus 1 or 2 beyond that. And in a minute or less, and I used to teach this at Columbia, I'm going to go through 5 stages of sustainability. And I want you to listen to these 5 from the perspective of which stage am I in? And based on that, what am I going to do with to address that? So stage 1 is, I don't give a rat's ass about the environment. I'm here to make money. Stage 2 is, yeah, the environment, I get that, but I need to stay focused on making money. Stage 3 is, yeah, the environment, that's really cool. I want to get involved, but I have no idea what to do to get started. Stage 4 is, wow, we're making tons of money being focusing on sustainable products and services. Let's do more of it so we make even more money. And stage 5 is the opposite of stage 4. Stage 5 is, let's make more money so we can be even more sustainable. So what I want you to do is figure out which one of those 5 stages you're in, and then go back to your gearbox and say, based on that, I want to create a product or service around sustainability that deals with X. And these are the gears in my gearbox that I'm going to need to focus on to make that happen. So going back to this example I gave you before about the LinkedIn guy with beach cleanups, he went to the last one here called products and resources. And the now for him was, well, I worked on LinkedIn. And the new for him is I worked with this company, this nonprofit that focuses on beach cleanups. That was his aha moment on this whole process. So I'm done. I'm off my soapbox for now. And Edna is going to talk to you about diversity and inclusion.
Okay. So what does diversity and inclusion really mean? It was introduced, number one, in the beginning as a term to describe a training format in the workplace. Diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, they utilize to encourage functional knowledge of fellow employees' identities and how to navigate diversity in an organization. Now, with that said, the concept of DEI is much broader. It's access, it's equity, and it's inclusion. So what does that mean for you? It means you have to take in the accountability of ensuring fair treatment and opportunity for all. And it also gives you a kind of view on what your biases are. And that way you are not creating prejudices and discriminations on any basis to any group, protected or unprotected. So that's what diversity, equity, and inclusion mean. Now, how does that work in your business as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur? How does that work in your business? How do you start to display that? It's important to be intentional when it comes to DEI. It's important to be intentional. Okay, if you're planning out your quarterly objectives and you want to see some results, this piece will help you do that and be able to diversify any of your promotions, your marketing to any of the groups. Now, why do people don't want to work with some people? Is because they don't see diversity and inclusion. And if you see in this market now, they're smart people that are looking for work. They're smart. They're being very intentional on whom they work with. They are now researching the back end of your company, finding out who's there, actually researching your social media to see if you respect them before they even get there. So if you're not intentionally taking actionable steps with DEI, you're not benefiting your company at all. So in order to get that look, you're going to have to do some pivots around a lot of that. Okay. You have to do some changes. Acknowledge if you want to employ someone of a culture, maybe you don't even understand it. You're not non-white or whatever you are. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to incorporate that so that you can get views of how this really works in someone else's view besides yours. So you may have your own biases, but inclusion means hearing, not just having them present, but learning to listen. This is what is needed. This is what my culture would love to see. But we don't, we as leaders or business owners, we have to be intentional with that, because then we're not doing the right things for our business. We can elevate our businesses with just that inclusive part. Yes, you may have the diversity down right, it's there, but that doesn't stand alone. It's access. Access means, what do you think about this, Edna? What do you think about this, Vic? What do you think about this, so-and-so, whoever? You're actually asking, what do you think about making a promotion or getting the ideas from the planning part of that? It increases your actionable steps when you get started to move in this gearbox here. It increases your steps. You partner with other organizations. You lead the shift in your business. So how can diversity, inclusion, and markets partner organizations? Well, look outside. Look outside of yourself. Look outside what your goal really is. Look outside and say, hey, I see a company that I might just want to work with. Let me see how we can work together. It's just a simple shift. And guess what? Diversity starts to happen. It starts to happen in your marketing. One time, myself and my friend went to a store that we normally go to that we help kind of open, and actually she was part of the shift workshop and she wasn't there. And so we walked in, my friend and I are Black. Okay, so we walked in and we came through the back door. And so we both had pocketbooks. So the staff member walked over to us and said, you need to put your bags in the back. I said, excuse me? I said, we were just here, we just got here. We don't have bags. And immediately she got on the defense, no, those bags. I said, those are pocketbooks. And so I was like, I said, wait a minute. I don't think she's been trained properly in diversity, equity and inclusion. I don't think so. So immediately my friend starts to get upset, and I was like, no, where's your manager? Because I know your manager, because I'm the president of the chamber and we kind of affiliate. Where's the owner of the company? And so I said, I don't know if you know better, but just taking the stance that we're Black and we have pocketbooks is a bias that you should be trained on. And it's not being sensitive to another culture. And I walked out, of course, and I did get to talk to the manager, what have you, but just that not being comfortable in something as simple as shopping. That's what diversity and inclusion and diversity, equity, and inclusion involve. Being sensitive to other cultures, being sensitive that they, I don't look like someone I didn't look like someone that was going to steal. I mean, you don't know. You just don't know. Maybe I did, but you just can't make those statements. You can't make them. Now that's a bias. That's an issue that the manager now has to bring in to bring about change, a shift to make other cultures comfortable. All right. So what you're going to look at in this is how you're going to bring in other markets, other people into your business that are sensitive, that have other cultures that's now non-white. Let's just be honest, non-white. What are we going to do to get those voices? What do you want to see in this business? What do you want? What is good for you to have you come in? Even with the LGBTQ plus organization, what is it that you would need to see or have, with my business? And it's getting outside of yourself, really, in order to make this shift with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is that it for me, Stefan?
I think
No.
this slide, but then.
Yeah, I think you talked well
Okay.
through it. So
All right.
we turn now to innovation. Thanks, Edna.
You're
So
welcome.
I guess that means, 1 second, Tom. For what Adna just said, this slide was, hey, take a new fresh look at your gearbox to see what you would need to shift and pivot into for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're up, Tom.
Okay, so I'm going to try to step through this a little bit quickly so we can get a little bit more time into the small groups. But I just want to remind you that the topic of the workshop as a whole is innovation in challenging times. And the whole idea of coming into this workshop and giving you sessions every week for 4 weeks is to give you a chance to work on your business, not just in your business. You know, and that's a phrase that's used occasionally by people, but we're serious about it because it's very easy to get just kind of drawn into doing the same thing over and over again. And every now and again, you lift your head up and say, where am I? And then you go back and just keep on doing the same thing. And the whole idea of innovation is really taking time to look at things differently. Now, you know, innovation, it means different things to different people. Let's step through the slides quickly because I want to get to the one. You can innovate in every aspect of your business. And we put together that shift gearbox, which I'm going to come to in a minute, to give you some illustrations of both large companies and then companies that have come through our workshop and made changes, subtle changes that really for them are innovations. And that's what we want you to be thinking about. This workshop gives you a chance to do thought experiments. You may not do everything you think of, but we want you to spend a lot of time brainstorming, getting your gray cells going and generating new ideas. That's what innovation is. Innovation is not necessarily the invention of the next level chip or 6G or 7G. Yes, that's part of innovation too. That's the high end filled with research labs. But innovation happens in every successful business also, small, medium, and large. That's what keeps business growing. It happens in products and services, markets, the kind of partnerships you develop, the sort of operations you have, and the way you deliver your products. It happens everywhere. Next slide. So I want to spend a little time here and give a couple of examples of some, you know, large, well-known, you know, we look at products and services, you know, Apple I'll choose because it's, you know, it's a company that was for many, many years just prided itself on its great product inventions and innovations. I'm not sure it's really in the same position as it used to be, but it really it stood head and shoulders above the rest in terms of the kind of devices that it came out with, the, you know, the first iPad, the first iPod, you know, its own approach to you know, personal computing. And again, I think at this point it's sort of lost that edge. But you know, in that product innovation phase, it was really special. Marketing, I think of Starbucks. You know, they turned a $1.50 commodity and turned it into a $3.50 commodity. It's still a cup of coffee, you know, but they surrounded it with a comfortable chair. All right, but that's $2 worth. You know, it was a brilliant marketing that they put out there to make coffee a different experience, a barista experience, etc. It's a brilliant kind of marketing that really teaches us what innovative marketing can really do. And there's other kinds of examples too. But I think of customers personally, I look at a company like Costco. They serve every kind of customer. Great diversity in people who go to Costco, a wonderful customer experience. They really take care of customers, and they have lots of innovation in the way that their services reach out to customers and so forth. So there's, you know, you can see big companies that do wonderful things. But when I look also at the people that have been in our workshops, I see some, you know, wonderful examples as well. I think of Len, who had a printing business, and he was jammed up looking for the next thing. And how did he innovate? He added staff because his obstacles, he was doing everything. And he realized that he had to add more resources. And so his innovation was to hire someone from, I think it was Argentina, it may have been Venezuela, I forget exactly. That allowed him to begin to explore some new aspects of his business because it freed him up from being in demand to do everything. So, you know, a simple innovation like that on the operational side with staffing makes a really big difference. Lydia has a fashion store, sells swimsuits. In the middle of the pandemic, she couldn't do anything, but she partnered up with people and started to deliver her service, her products in a trunk show. You don't think about it as a big deal, but it allowed her to double. She had the best October on record in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic because she partnered with other people, went into a unique way of putting her products out there, and whammo, big success. Carol, who's had this you know, long time family business and, you know, heating and air conditioning. She used the stimulus of the workshop to finally get around to something that she was stuck in. A lot of times what happens is we get stuck. She created a new IT system for her customers that completely transformed how her business operated. Something she should have done for years, but she finally got the gumption from being in the workshop and getting urged by others to do it. And it really grew her business. It allowed her to do so many things more rapidly than before. So there are little things that people can see by looking at them through the lens of this gearbox. That's why we have this, and in ways that we've seen people in little ways that don't seem at the moment to be grand innovations, but for that business, it was a big step forward. And that's how we want you to look at this gearbox. We want you to take the time to look at the different elements of it and see where you can find an innovation that's going to allow you to get through one of those obstacles you've identified. So we're going to shift now into some little bit of private work, and then back into a small group. We won't have a lot of time in the small group unless maybe we could take a 5 minute more than the end of the session to give us a little bit more time. So in fact, let's take a little bit less than 10 minutes in the individual work. So what we want you to do is pick one of these, the three things you heard about. It's hard to work on all of them, whether it's sustainability or innovation or diversity, equity, and inclusion. Think about how this might positively affect your business, and in what phase of your business on this gearbox it might come into being. Brainstorm. You know, brainstorming is just write down a bunch of ideas, and you know, just put them down, and then you'll go into the group and we'll kick them around. And that's the advantage of this kind of brainstorming, is it's not going to be a well-formed idea. It's not the final thing. It's just getting started. And we work with each other to hone those ideas and make them as good as possible. So let's just take maybe 5 minutes instead of 10, and then we'll go into the group. So we'll start the clock now on 5, and then we'll go into the same groups we were in. Thanks. Yeah. It's, well, you can take it a break. Yeah, you're doing some work, individual
Right.
work, or take a break as you wish. Yeah. It's
Oh,
your time.
okay. Because, you know, this sustainability topic is one that I spend a lot of time on. I'm our sustainability advisor in our group, and I often find that businesses don't know. I mean, it's a vast topic. It has many layers to it. And so for a small company, how do they put, you know, where to start? How does one pick that apart? So the two examples I sent you are really very good assessment tools for a company that's just starting to ask the question, what does sustainability mean to us? And where do I start? So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, I suggest you put that in a message to everyone, Andrea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's because that's what I wrote back to you is
I'm sorry, I didn't see
yeah,
that.
because
Yeah.
these resources are good to share with everybody.
Yeah, got it.
3 minutes.
In fact, I have us going in 2, but. And I sent a note,
Okay,
I sent a note in the chat asking if people could extend
Okay.
until 11:40 instead of 11:30. So if you cannot, please let me know. And you know, because we're trying to just leave a little bit of time in the in that second small group. Okay, I see that a couple of people have a hard stop at 11:30, so we'll, you know, those people who need to leave at 11:30, please do. We'll just leave a little bit of extra time. And those folks, that's Charlie and Jerry, let's make sure that they can share in the small group. I'll have us go into the small group right now. Now let's see, where are people here? I need to recreate the rooms. Looks like room 2 only has Stefan in it. What the
Wow.
heck happened? Oh, sorry about this. What the heck did that? I'm not sure what happened here. Okay, all right. Opening rooms.
Did we lose everyone?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Sean, Edna, the 3 of us.
Oh,
they're
here
coming
they
in.
go. There they go. They're coming.
All right, here we're coming back. All right, well, so, oh, okay, here we are. All right.
Couple people in our room had to jump off.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, but we did
Right.
okay. We did the best we could.
Yeah, we did. Okay, whoops, I realized it's my turn. Let me do a screen share.
Good work, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button. There we go. Okay, so super quickly, agility is what this workshop is founded on. And really quickly, it comes from programming days where people would create something and then improve it based on what they created and so on. So it's kind of like a cycle. Here with entrepreneurs are really good at thinking about the medium term. We want you to think about the long term, which is 3 years. So, and then what do you have to do today to make that happen? And it becomes a cycle in that way. We're going to go much more in detail with you on it soon. But for now, what is the cycle for 3 years down to today? What does that look like? And then we gave you a tool. As soon as I can change the slide, there we go. So the tool, whoops, I went 2 slides. The tool we gave you is the timeline. And it's all about what do you need to do this week to make that happen, but I'm gonna give you a couple tips on how to use this tool. The first tip is work it backwards. So start with in 3 years, then you're gonna create X in 3 years. Well, in 1 year, what do I need to do to make X happen? What do I need to do in 3 months to make that happen so X happens in 3 years? And you continue to work it backwards. Tip number 2 is pick 1 or 2 goals in 3 years, not 10 or 20 or whatever goals. Every goal you have for your business, focus on 1, maybe 2, and you'll probably need 1 or 2 of these for each goal. And that's going to be your homework for next week. You're going to be looking at, I'm going to go back to this slide, and you're going to be filling this out, and then you're going to be sharing it. That's number 1. Then you're also going to be focusing on, by the way, I have a video on this, and I'll send it to you. I think it's, I don't know, I think it's maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that, of me explaining how to fill this out or how to create it for yourself. And we'll get it over to you in the next day or so. So fill that out and share it, and be ready to share it with the group, and watch the video if you need to. And then next week, we're going to go much deeper into Agile and how do you accelerate it based on that. So this is the founding board of where you go with it. Any questions? And I'm going to stop screen sharing now. Any questions or comments?
Are you sending out the links in the worksheets, or?
Yes.
Yes.
For the
Yeah,
next
the
Zoom?
worksheet will be it's in the slideshow, but we'll send the worksheet separately too. It's called the timeline. Yeah.
And by the way, the Zoom for this is the same for all 4 sessions.
Same for every week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good. And I just, good work, everyone. It really, a lot of good sharing and responding to each other,
Yep.
and positive feedback, helpful feedback. So it was a great session, I thought.
Exactly.
Good.
Okay, guys, thanks, and see you in a week. We
Okay.
got work to
Great.
do.
Everyone,
Thank you,
talk next
Susan.
week.